be here. Good to meet you and good to be with you at the start of this new year. Good to be on the team. Make sure I've got everyone in, and it's good to be with all of you. If you can type in where you're at, that'd be great, so we know where we're at today. We start the webinar in about 1 minute's time, so I look forward to chatting with you all throughout this time. If you do have any questions at any point in time, feel free to type in any questions that you've got, and we'll try and answer them all at the end. If there's any that I can do in the beginning, then I'll also look to those as well. Hey, Gona, are we all good? Everything ready to go? Texas is in the building. A few different Texas spots. That's very good to see. Houston, we got Acapulco. Dang, I could be in Acapulco today. Fraser down in Australia. Good to see. James also in Australia. Everybody coming in. We will start in about 1 minute's time with the teaching stuff. So if you've got any thoughts or any questions, put them into the chat window. We will get to them as fast as we can, or as often as we can, and make sure that everybody is kept up to date. We are looking good out there. All right. Thank you, Gona. I'll take control and get this moving along. So let's get into this whole thing. When I sat down and started writing the book Billionaire in Training 13 years ago, little did I realize where it would get us to and what it would actually have for us as an organization. The whole thing about wealth creation and the creation of a systemic approach to money, a systemic approach to creating cash flow, a systemic approach to wealth creation, to investing, and actually creating a step-by-step way of doing that. You know, it came to me that most people would never in their lifetime actually learn money properly. So let's get started with learning money properly today and learning what we need to do. If we take that philosophy and extend it one stage further, right? Take the philosophy of there is an ability to create a systemic methodology of money, and take that one step further and say, okay, let's deal with it in different areas. There's business, there's real estate, there's the stock market. Obviously, the stock market's expanded now to have all of the crypto market, all of those different aspects that we're going to look at. So I sit here and I think about where the cash flow starts, and it starts with businesses. And so I want to get through that aspect of it so that we can get to the other part of it. But to do that, we're going to go through a few things here today. So the first thing, and I want you to take notes of each of these. The first thing is the three biggest challenges. The second is taking a look at how the old way of money is dead and dying, okay? And, you know, I see the millennial generation taking advantage of this far faster than anyone else, but most people are not doing what needs to happen. And so we're going to discuss that shift, how it's happened, what's happened, and all those sorts of things. Hey, good to see we're in South America, Indonesia. We're in New Zealand right now. We're crossing across the whole place. So then what we're going to look at is how you do it, okay? What do you need to do to actually do this stuff, to move from the old to the new and to actually get your knowledge base to that? So examining your biggest goal and saying, okay, here's how you use that shift to make that a reality for you. Now, we're going to look mostly at financial side today, even though in my other programs, my 30X programs, you have life. Today, we're going to look at business and wealth mostly, okay? So if you've done any, has anyone on here already done 30X? If you have already done 30X, which one have you done? In fact, at the end of the day today, I'll make an offer because at the end of last year, we did a Black Friday deal on 30X. And so we thought we'd open up the new year with just repeating the Black Friday deal. So I'll let you know about that in just a little while. So let's start with a question. My question to you, well, first and foremost, do you know all of these people? That's the first question that I want you to ask. Do you know all of these people? If you do, great. Now, who's the one in the top left, actually? Who's the one in the top left? You're on day 15 of it, Rachel. Fantastic. Good to see. Business and life, David. Good to know. Who's up in the top left corner? Give me that person. See who gets it first. It should be a dead giveaway with the car in the background. Ford, correct. What did Ford, first of all, understand that then Ray Kroc did, that Walt Disney did, that Richard Branson? Now, all of them obviously created multi-billions, and you see Jeff Bezos now, literally the guy's retired and a couple of $100 billion. I mean, it's insanity what he's created when you think about it. But if you follow the structure of what we're going to look at today, you'll understand that this works and works well for all of us. So how do we get there and what do we do? Well, they understand three things mostly. Number one, how to position themselves as an authority figure, okay? And how to take the lead. And so they do that by being a business entrepreneur, so that entrepreneurial factor. Then they understood scalability, and we're going to look at that and how you scale business and how you scale wealth. And then obviously they mastered that thing. So if you look at Sir Richard Branson, he's mastered taking a business and branding it and taking it out there into the marketplace. If you look at Henry Ford, he mastered the ability to actually create production systems. H.J. Heinz was the first to build a production line, but Henry Ford obviously became a master in that whole process. Now, for me, where did I get to this thing? How did I get to this? And how do I end up being a teacher of this stuff? Well, one of the more interesting things for me when I was 16, and this is why I started my charitable organization, the ActionCOACH Foundation. The foundation is really designed to help young people learn about being entrepreneurs. If you do have any 12 to 22-year-olds in your family that would like to learn some of the stuff we do, send them over to actioncoachfoundation.org, actioncoachfoundation.org, and that's where they can do that. So over the years, what I learned to do was I first started out by buying broken companies and fixing them. And what I've learned to do, and that's a lot of what we do at ActionCOACH, we help people who have, okay to broken okay companies and fix them. But then what I started doing is buying good companies and making them great. And that's the other half of what we do with ActionCOACH. We take good companies and make them great. So mostly that's what I do today. In fact, just this morning, I was on the phone discussing a deal to buy a major share of a particular company that I think is an amazing little company, and it should be all over the world. So with ActionCOACH now, and again, we just won the award, Franchisee Satisfaction Award for now, I think the 11th year in a row. It might be more than that, but I sit back and I look at having business in over 80 countries and how you do that, how you scale those sorts of things. The books, I didn't just write one book. I went scale 17 books. I got the 18th one on the way. So when you learn to beat these three challenges, number one is the level of hours people work. Number two is the cash flow problems. And number three is the people problems. So time, money, people are really the three main problems in business. If one of those was your main problem, which one is it right now? Hours. So is it a time problem? Is it a money problem? Or is it a people problem? Team, time, and money. They're really the three things. Type it in for me. Which one? So I know where we need to focus in on with those three today. What's your biggest one? Team, time, or money? Let me see what you've got. All right, we're starting to get them in. Hours, money, people. We're getting about the same balance. That's an interesting one. Money is hitting the front now. Okay, money is hitting the front of the list. Time and money, time and money, time and money. Good. All right, so we'll focus on that most of it today. So when we take a look at the old model of business and the old model of making money, it's all about work hard. If you want it done right, do it yourself. If you work hard, build a good career, do that whole thing, do good, be good, do as you're told, get a good job, work for the rest of your life. And that model was where, people were convinced that model would work. And if we go back to the 1950s, is where we started to see the real, everyone started to work for the man. Everyone got a job. Everyone went and did that. Whereas prior to that, most people were entrepreneurial. So this hard work about creating success has been the philosophy for so many for so long. My philosophy, because I remember as a young man sitting there thinking, hey, this just isn't going to work, which, by the way, I'm going to give you the learning stuff in just a moment. So we'll get to that. But I want you to understand the context behind all of this sort of stuff. And I'm also going to give you that link in just a moment for the Black Friday deal that we're going to extend and make it, I don't know, we should recall it something. No, we should call it the New Year's deal. So when you sit down and you take a look at the shift and how that actually happens, it came to me because as a young man, I looked at it and thought, because I was trained as an accountant. I went to college and graduated as in an accounting degree. And I sat down and thought, do I really want to work 20 to 30 years to get a partnership so that I can work another 20 to 30 years and then retire with no money? No, that didn't make any sense to me. So I went about learning, studying, and building a process where financial freedom could happen inside 10 years. And that was really what I wanted. So at 16, I set the goal of being retired by 25. It took me one more year than that to financially retire, 26. But I sit back and I think about it and I think, what if I'd actually bought into that thing? What if I bought into that old way of thinking? So let's dive into the learning of Billionaire and training, and let's make sure we understand how to actually do this thing, okay? Remember, there's going to be questions pop up in your head. Just type them in. So let's first of all discuss the difference between a billionaire and millionaire. Why do I not teach people to be a millionaire? Well, number one, because millionaire isn't rich anymore. Let's be blunt about that fact. If you go for billionaire and you fall short, you only get 200 million, you're okay, all right? You're not doing too bad with it at that point there. But the thing between the biggest differences, I'll give you the top few differences between a billionaire's thinking and a millionaire's thinking. A millionaire creates a singular business model and runs that singular business model. A billionaire creates a singular business model and then scales it and opens it up all across the world or all across the country. A millionaire builds a system once and uses it once. A billionaire builds a system once and uses it tens of thousands or hundreds of times. You know, the millionaire wants to be the CEO of the business. The billionaire wants to employ CEOs of their business. The millionaire looks at creating a product and selling a product or a service. The billionaire looks at creating a business and selling the business. The millionaire is about cash flow and the billionaire is about wealth creation. So we're looking at two different ways of thinking. And that's why I say today you've graduated, you've become a billionaire in training. Write that down. Say, I am a billionaire in training, or type it in for yourself so that it says that I am a billionaire in training. Now, first and foremost, if I'm going to be teaching you today, we're going to have a little bit of fun with this thing. So I expect you to comment. I expect you to chat. Let's make sure we do enjoy ourselves while we're here learning today. Now, what I'm going to teach you with Billionaire and Training and what 30X goes into and what my university then compounds on is actually having you learn a 10-year process of wealth creation. What is the process of wealth creation? How does that happen? What does it do for you? And the reason I say it's 10 years is twofold. One is it takes 10 years to learn all of this stuff. By the time you learn it, implement it, all that sort of stuff, it's a 10-year process. The second reason is this set of cycles here, where, you know, when you look at economic cycles, summer, so up until 2008, we had a massive economic summer. 2008, we had a fall, and then it went into economic winter. Spring started in 2012. In 2012 through 2020, we had economic summer. In 2020, 2021, we had a fall and a winter. And now we've come back into spring again. And that's because of a very overinflated amount of government money being thrown in. And so we've overcooked the books, and hence inflation, which we can talk about that. If you've got any questions around inflation and that stuff, I'm happy to take them. And so we're back in summer really, really fast, but we didn't really have that winter that we went through. We went through some economic winter. It was very short-lived, and we're back in the economic summer again. And the question is, when will fall come? And that's something that we can debate, and if you've got any questions around that. But this is why it takes 10 years. These cycles are usually a 7 to 10-year cycle. When you had that bull run or that summer from 2012 to 2020, an 8-year summer, it was like, this is incredible. How is this sustainable? And is it sustainable? I remember debating with a few of my friends, is China going to bring us unstuck? Is You know, is it going to be North Korea? Is it going to be Brexit? The Europeans, are they going to bring us unstuck? Is it going to be the US election? Is that going to bring us unstuck? No one could have predicted a pandemic being the thing that brought us unstuck, but hey presto, something does, and something does every time. And we're in the same debate right now. Is it going to be China's collapse, the economic collapse internally in China? Is that going to happen? Is there going to be an inflationary collapse? You know, there's all these things. And when is it going to happen? Probably a couple of years away from now. So we're not really too worried at this exact moment. So the way that works, to be a billionaire in training, starts with dreams. No use shooting for $1 billion if you don't have big dreams, big ideas of what you want to happen. So if you go through 30X Life, I teach you how to build your dreams and goals. In fact, I do it in my university in the purpose training. It's a 2-day purpose training. I think, is there anyone on here that did purpose training with me just recently? We did it at the end of last year. The entrepreneurs training is coming up. That's the one where we do how to buy, build, and sell companies. So if you're not in any of those, make sure you get information. In fact, I'll get the team to give you the links on those today. So the dreams times goals times learning times plans times action. You build massive dreams. You turn your dreams into goals. Dreams are sort of 10 to 20 years off. Goals are 5 years or less than 5 years in time. When you know what your goal is, then you do the learning to go with it. So, and I want to be blunt with you, the learning work is the hardest work of success. The learning is the biggest part of success happening. And I see too many people where they're so focused on just doing the work rather than doing the learning. The knowledge acquisition is one that we have to focus in on. So once you've done the learning, then you write the business plan or the plan and the wealth plan or the life plan. So in each of my programs, in each of the 30X programs, we actually do a full business plan, a full life plan, and a full wealth plan. So in 30 days, you go through building your plans for your business, building your plans for your life, and building your plans for your wealth. And it's crazy how fast people can learn this stuff if they've got the right mentor. And if you like me as your mentor, then great. I'm happy to be your mentor. We'll give you those programs in just a moment. So what are we going to learn with money? Money, you're going to learn two things, okay? How to make it and how to manage it. Making it is the first thing you have to learn. If you look at this chart here, what I'm saying with this chart is the diagonal line there is that at the very beginning of life, we start by making money. 100% of our money comes from making money. As we go further and further up the road and we're making more, we start to put some into that investment pool, and we have to learn how to manage that money. So there's making money and then there's managing money. Making comes first, managing comes second. Once you're making $500,000, $1 million a year, then managing becomes very important. If you're only making 100 grand a year, make is something you need to be focused more on in the beginning. So as you get to making $1 million a year, then managing really kicks it as something that's important for you and your family. And just a hint on this, I've met a lot of families where there was financial success, where one member of the family was very good at making, husband, wife, brother, sister, cousin, and the other was very good at managing. Like for me, it was me. I'm great at making. My dad was good at managing the money for me. He's retired from that now, but you know, I got another good friend. He's very good at making money. She's very good at managing the money. So he makes, she manages, and they do a phenomenal job at it in that way. So that's where we've got to learn money. Now, what we've got to learn to do that is a philosophy, the philosophy of leverage. Okay, write this word down because we're going to go into it in some detail. When I first learned leverage, I learned the definition of divide to multiply, the mathematical formula. You divide something up, you break it into its smallest parts, like a production line, and you multiply the end result. Like a franchise, you break it into smaller units. Ray Kroc did that, and then multiply the end result. What I'm looking at here with my definition of it is, because, you know, the divide to multiply made sense, the ever more with ever less made sense. But my definition is about how do you do work once that pays you back forever? So give me an example of something you know that is working once that pays you back forever. I'll give you a very simple example. Okay, what's work you can do once that pays you back forever? Type it in for me. This is a very simple example, my latest book. So actually, where's my first book? Well, here is the book. Actually, this is the Billionaire in Training book. Now, this was first released, if I remember rightly, 2006. There you go. So 2006. So I've been making money off of this book for now, 2006. Can you believe that? So 14 years of making money off that book. Good. Online courses are a good one. Investment property, recording a song, writing a book, a digital product. These are good things. Businesses, if you build a business that works without you. Patents, Marco, very good example of it. Do something that works and pays you back forever. You know, this is the goal. You build a business that works so you don't have to. The business makes money whether you go in or not. Hey, presto, you've now freed up your time. And so that's really what we're looking at. Now, in order to understand that, I want to go through, in fact, let me just go back to it. I want to go through licensing. Arthur is definitely a way. Franchising is definitely a way. Rental business is definitely a way. You know, you do once. In business, there's 3 levels of work. There's work once paid once, which is employee work. There's work once paid long term, which is manager's work. And there's work once paid forever, which is owner's work. So if you're a business owner, but you're doing mostly employee work, you'll probably make the same amount of money as an employee makes. You know, if you're an owner and you're doing mostly management work, you'll probably make the same amount of money as managers make. But if you're the owner doing owner's work, you'll make owner's money. So keep that in mind. Learn how to be a great owner rather than just how to be a great employee or a great technician. So here's my question to you. Okay. In fact, I'll make it a simple statement. You can learn this stuff. If you can learn money, you can master money. If you can learn wealth, you can master wealth. If you can learn business, you can master business. The challenge for most people is they don't invest the amount of time learning that they need to do. How many hours a week are you investing learning now? See, think about that. I keep coming back to it's got to be a minimum of a half hour a day of learning, a minimum half hour a day of learning. Now, reading is obviously the slowest form of learning unless you're a very good speed reader. And then you can move right through to having a coach that works with you, a human being that's with you. And somewhere in the middle there is like video courses and attending courses. But whatever speed of learning determines the speed of you attaining your goals. The faster you can learn, the faster you can attain those goals. It's no more complex than that. So you can learn this stuff. What does that mean? If you can learn it, you can do it. All right, so let's go back to the making and managing of money. Making money, the cash flow stuff. It starts out as active income when you get a job. Your first role is to learn passive income, how to take active income, turn it into passive income. And then your second job is to learn how to make that passive income turn into a massive level of income. So the compounding effect of those investments, okay? So we keep moving our cash flow skill level up over time. We go first to passive and then to massive income. The other side of it, the managing, we manage capital, okay? So we start out as a retail investor, then we move through to a wholesale investor. So a retail investor is someone who doesn't really know what they're doing and they've got a small amount of money, so they're investing at a retail level. Retail investing is still better than no investing at all. In fact, it's what the vast majority of humans do out there on the planet. What I teach then is to move to wholesale investing, whereas you get more capital and you get more skill and more knowledge and more ability, you can move into doing wholesale transactions where you make a profit at the beginning of the deal rather than a profit at the end of the deal. And finally, we then look at the entrepreneurial level of creation of capital, where you actually build a franchise and therefore you're selling deals to others. Instead of investing your money, you're having others invest with you. You do a real estate development, people invest with you. I was just discussing last night about a $36 million development just across the border here from Nevada into Arizona. And a multi-use hotel, all that sort of stuff. And, you know, it's a great deal, but it's creating capital, not just investing capital. So at retail and at wholesale, you're investing your capital. And then at the entrepreneurial level, we create capital that others will invest in. So how do we learn to get there? Well, you start out as a student, okay? You're at level -1. The student goes to school. What is their job? They're an apprentice employee. Your job as a student is to learn enough to get a job. Now, as an employee, you're at level 0. Why a student, by the way, -1? Because it costs money to be a student. Either you pay for it or society pays for it for you. You become an employee, you start paying some taxes to pay back that first 20 years that society or your parents or everyone else invested in you. So for the first 20 years, the world pays for you. You then start to pay back some of that. So then by about 40, you've paid back what was invested in you and you start to pay some more money into society. It's pretty simple in that way. But what is an employee's job? An employee's job really should be to be an apprentice business owner. So your job is to learn enough to become self-employed. Your job is to learn enough to move away from being a taxpayer into a paying tax if there's any profit. Okay, so we go into self-employed. Now, here's the problem with self-employed. There's a lot to learn. You got to learn sales, marketing. You got to learn purchasing. You got to learn negotiating. You got to learn all of the different aspects, legals, finance, you name it. You have to learn it. It's self-employed. And that's why self-employed usually looks more like a seesaw. It's like find the work, do the work, find the work, do the work, find the work, do the work. And that's why a lot of people at self-employed end up saying, you know what, the heck with it. I'm going to go back and get a job. It's a whole lot easier than this being self-employed thing. But here's the thing. You're learning at this. In a moment, I'm going to ask you what level on this chart you are. I'd like you to point that in for me. So you move from self-employed to manager. Now you employ some other people, okay? And of course, in the beginning, you don't employ very well in the beginning. Most of the time in the beginning, you employ your next door neighbor's best friend's dog walker who was out of a job, you know, and you just give them some work and you think, oh, that's okay, I've got it. No, and they don't build the business for you. They actually, you know, it's you work for them mostly. You're running around. It's more like a merry-go-round, running around and around in circles, putting out fires. They start. So, you know, that manager level is where, again, there's a whole bunch to learn. How to recruit, how to manage, how to lead, how to train, how to plan, how to build systemization, cash flow management, planning, systemization, all of those things that you have to learn at the manager level. So what we're doing here, by the way, gang, you'll notice I said it's billionaire in training. So this is teaching you to move through the levels, you know, teaching you and that way they do it all for you. So owner level is level 3, where you've built a business that works. Write down this. This is my definition of a business. A business is a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. Commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. If you have to be there, it's not a business. If you have to be there, it's a job and you work for the craziest person in the room. So from there, once you've got the business running without you, again, this is why it's billionaire in training. The first 3 to 7 years, we get the business running. It's running without you. Takes somewhere between 3 and 7 years to do that. You work with a coach. You go and use my information. You come to my university. You do all of these different things. And hey, presto, we move on to that next level. Then we start learning investing. And that's why 30X wealth is important. It's why my entrepreneurs course, my landlord course are very important. Because what we're doing is we're taking the money that you're making from that business that runs without you, and we're now investing it. Remember, I said this is a systemic approach to wealth, a systemic approach. You follow the recipe. Don't have to learn it all over again. And finally, you hit that level 5 entrepreneur where you're building deals that other people will invest in. And here's the thing. If you didn't do all of that investing at level 4, you wouldn't know how to convince people to invest at level 5. You wouldn't know what you're looking for or what they're looking for or how to answer their questions or what questions they've got. So which level are you playing at right now? Type it in for me. Level -1 all the way to level 5. You can either type in the word or the number appropriate with that. So keep building this. Okay. Let me wait while you put your answers in. Have I got answers coming? Yes. All right. Here we go. 2s, 3s, 2s, 3s. You got Diane up at level 5 in entrepreneur. Good job, Diane. Congratulations. Got a bunch of students as well. Good to see. Investor, entrepreneur, flipping, flopping between the two, owner, investor. Good. Yeah, sometimes there's a transitional period between like 2 and 3 and 3 and 4 and so on. Fantastic. All right. So as you move through this whole thing, so those of you who are at level sort of -1 to level 2, you need to be straight into the 30X programs, okay? Those of you at level 3 and above, you need to be onto the university. So you'll need to do the 30X as a precursor, but you'll want to be doing the high-level entrepreneurs and all of those programs when you get there. So the bottom end of that level is from -1 to 2. You want to be on the 30X programs. In fact, Gona, can we just give people the 30X program So all three 30Xs, gang, we call it 90X, obviously. It's 90 days to revolutionize your thinking, therefore 90 days to revolutionize your life. You'll see that button there. Now, if you click on that, instead of it being $3,000, it's $300. Well, $297. Okay, so we've taken it as 10%. It's 90% off. For 90 days, you get 90% off. It's just, the crazy, stupid way I do things. But anyway, click on that. The first 10 people to purchase that, the first 10 people in that will come on a webinar with me in a week or two's time, a couple of weeks, because I'm on vacation the next 2 weeks. My parents are visiting. And if you jump on that and do that deal right now, you'll come on that with me. If you've already purchased one of the programs before, purchase all three. Gona will handle all the deal with you later on. So click that button and we'll do it. I'll get to the university in just a little while for those of you at levels 3, 4, and 5. So the first question I ask anyone who wants to come on any of my training programs is, when do you want to be rich and why do you want to be rich? Because unless you have an actual reason for wealth creation, you're not going to do it. Unless you actually really want to do it. Because it's not easy to learn all of this stuff, to focus on 30 minutes a day of learning, to focus on implementation, to keep growing and to keep becoming that. And if you don't have a real reason to do it, you're not going to do it. And this is where I keep coming back to everyone saying, that's the thing. We've got to make sure that you are focused on why. I'll tell you when I learned that I wanted to be rich. I was 13 years of age. We moved from Darwin in Australia to Adelaide in Australia. And Darwin's tropical. So you wear a pair of shorts. You don't even really wear shoes to school in Darwin, or I didn't back in those days. And then we moved to Adelaide, which is super cold winters. And so, we had to go from shorts to long pants. And my mother, at the time, here, I'm going to give you my age. Let's see who remembers these. Who remembers Levi's 501 jeans? See, this is where I'm no longer in the youth group of the organization. But my mum didn't believe in that. My mum believed in what we could afford, and what we could afford was corduroy jeans at Kmart. So she bought me those. I was at school, and if you ever worn corduroy pants, they make a noise when you walk, when your legs rub together. Yeah, Tyron, you remember the 501. See, there you go. We're aging ourselves right there. But and I remember getting in a fight with a kid, and anyway, long story short, I blamed those pants. And I remember going to my room, 13 years of age, getting a pair of mum's shears from her sewing kit and cutting them up, thinking, I will never, ever not have enough money to buy everything. I want to be rich, and I'm going to be rich. I'm going to do this. This is no way about this. I'm going to succeed because I will always have money to buy anything I want. 13 years of age. Now, imagine how lucky I am that at 13 years of age, my mum bought me those awful jeans instead of buying me 501s. If she had bought me 501s, I would not have committed to being rich. So today is your day to commit to being rich. Commit to it. Understand it. Know that you want to be that way. And the reason I bring that up is there's three types of goals. First type of goal is a negative goal, where I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be fat. I don't want to be unfit. It's a negative. It's the I don't want to be working 80 hours a week type thing. You have to get past that. You can't use negative goals if you want to be super successful. You have to move up to step 2 towards goals. I learned that when I was, because if you remember there, at 13, I set a negative goal. I set an away goal. I don't ever want to not have enough money. Okay. At 16, I learned from Mr. Rohn, E. James Rohn, that what I needed to do was actually focus on moving towards my goal. So I set a goal of I want to be retired by 25, financially retired, having enough money coming in, whether I worked or not, that I could be retired. 26, as I said to you earlier, before I actually achieved that. And then finally, the third level of goal is where you move to a legacy level, which is what I do now. All I want to do now, my company ActionCOACH is World Abundance Through Business Re-Education. My investments are all about leaving a legacy for my family, my teaching. This is what I do. It's my way of leaving a legacy. And that's really the big goal for me these days. People ask, what do you want to be achieving? I want to help 1 million people become millionaires. 1 million millionaires is a lot of fun. So, and then I'm going to have a bunch of them that go a lot further than that. You guys, the billionaires in training. So that's really the thing. So what I help people really understand is that unless there is gratitude for where you're at, and celebration is a form of gratitude, unless you celebrate where you're already at, don't expect to move to the next level. So be very happy with what you got, satisfied with what you got, but you can still want to go for more. Let me put it to you very, very bluntly. Here's the thing. If you're no good at managing 50 grand a year, you'll never be blessed with 500 grand or 50 million a year to manage. You got to be good with small amounts of money if you ever think you want to be blessed with large amounts of money. How you take care of money is how money takes care of you. So if you're bad at managing money, then of course money will not be given to you in abundance. All right, so this is what we're going to do. Oh, yes, the university. Thank you for reminding me. Actually, let me just give you the books link here, gang, because for those of you who have not read all of my books, click on that link and you'll be able to get all the books. We will come to the university. Yes, those of you who have purchased the first 10, I'm not sure if the first 10 are done. In fact, I'll just make it anyone who purchases in the next 5 minutes. So if you do it now, the 30X, yeah, I'll put it back up in a second. If you do the 30X in the next 5 minutes, then I'll put you on that webinar with me, the private webinar where you can ask any question you like. So businesses, what I teach you to do is once you've built one business, then we go into how to buy, build, and sell multiple companies, because that is where the highest capital value is created. What we do with a business is we create a level of capital value that allows us to make certain. Oh yeah, click, it's the final one. I'll put the university up now. If you want those books, click that now and we'll take it away. All right, the university, there is the university offer. Thank you, thank you. If you go to the university, you can do that. Those of you at level 3, 4, and 5, you need to be examining that. If you do the university, you also get 30X included, so or 90X included. So what we're doing here with businesses is we're learning how to create capital value. So the multiplier effect, if I go and buy a business and I double the profit, which is not that hard. Once you learn everything I do, doubling the profit's real easy. It's 10-fold and 20-fold profit where you've got to do a fair bit of work. But if you can double and triple the profit, what did you just do to the value of the business? Remember, the value of the business is a multiple of profit. Now, if I build the business and not just double the profit, but I take the profit and I then put it under management. So instead of selling a job to someone, I'm selling an investment to someone, an actual business, then that multiplier, so you increase the profit if you double or triple the profit, and then you double or triple the value by increasing not just the profit, but by increasing the management impact on that thing. So if there's managers running it rather than you running it, it's worth a lot more to an investor. An investor wants to buy something that they don't have to work in. An investor wants to buy something that runs without them, okay? So dive in on that university, gang. I'll be taking that offer down in a second so that I can meet the 30X 5 minutes thing. Now in real estate, what we do in real estate, and I'm going to blow your mind in real estate in just a moment. And I want questions, gang. I'm not getting enough questions typed in. So start asking questions about any of this stuff or the economy or wherever you think it's going to go. So with real estate, what your goal is very simple, is to add value to that piece of property and hold it for the long term and have it paid down. Now, when we add value to it, what we can do there, and by adding value, I mean renovate the property. When you add value to it, you can generally go back and revalue that and take back your deposit and go and do another one. And that consistent process of doing that is really important. Now, I told you I was going to blow your mind with real estate in just a second. Here's the deal. Let's imagine you wanted to have $10 million in retirement money at some point, right? Let's say you had 20 years to retirement. Let's say you're 40 now, you want to retire when you're 60, and you said, okay, I've got 20 years from now. What you need to do or need to understand is the very simple piece of real estate. And that is that if you want to buy, let's just use $1 million as a number. If you want to buy $1 million piece of real estate, you need $200,000 in cash to buy that $1 million piece of real estate. Now, I know in some markets you can put 5% down or 10% down, and other markets, New Zealand's gone crazy a little bit. They're 30 or 40% deposit down for a little while, and that'll change. It does. It always, different governments have different rules, and different timing in the market has different rules. But on average, it's 20% deposit. So you put in your 20% deposit. You then rent that property out. Someone else pays that mortgage off for you. So over 20 years, that mortgage gets paid off. So 80% of the asset is paid for by someone else. Now, I want you to just think about that for a second. You only ever put in 20% of the cash. Someone else puts up 80% of the cash. That to me is an insanely wonderful part of real estate. So make sure that that is something that you are taking advantage of. Now, the reason I put the seesaw with the price and rent here is something is always going up in real estate. Either the price goes up or the rent goes up. Now, when the price gets too high, people are like, oh, prices are too high, I should just rent. And then there's more people renting, and then the rent gets too high. And they go, hang on, rents are too high, I should buy now. And then it pushes the other way up. And so it just keeps going up and up and up based on rent going up, price going up. And there's certain times in the market, like right now, where it's so crazy, both rent and prices are going up, which is phenomenal part of the cycle of the real estate market. So very important part. Ultimately, with real estate, you want to just play monopoly. You know, 4 greenhouses becomes 1 red hotel. You move up from doing smaller deals into larger deals, and therefore you can place more and more money in those things. Now, ultimately, one of the big reasons why there's not just 30x business and 30x wealth, there is 30x life, is because you have to get control of the things like when you're making a decision, that fear and that excitement that kicks in. What is the fear? What is the excitement? How does that kick in? And what do you actually do with that stuff? You know, that to me is an important aspect of understanding. Because what I found when you're making a great decision, both fear and excitement do kick in usually. The question is, which one are you going to let win? Now, where does fear come from? Fear comes from a lack of knowledge. The more knowledge you grasp, the easier it is for you to make decisions that move you in that right direction. So keep reading, keep learning, keep studying, keep doing 30. Oh, I forgot to put it back up. Sorry, gang. Thank you for my reminder going on. I appreciate that. So the university offer is going to disappear. Let me put back the 90X. If you can take the 90X, and there you go. There is the link. Now, if you take the 90X and join that in the next, well, we've got about 2 minutes left of that timing. If you do have questions, though, please start typing them in. I'll get to questions in just a moment. So let's go back to, I mentioned him earlier, Jim Rohn. 16 years of age, I was lucky enough to meet and learn from Mr. Rohn. 2 first comments that he put up here. Never wish your life were easier, wish that you were better. I was sitting in the Brisbane City Town Hall taking notes galore, and Mr. Rohn, in his usual drawl, was very clear, and it sort of stung because as a 16-year-old, here I was pretty arrogant about the world and thinking, yep, I know this, that's good, I'm fine. But when you sat there and keep thinking, I wish it was better, I wish it was better, and he says to you, you can't wish it was better, you have to get better. You know, business doesn't get easier, you get better at business. Sales doesn't get easier, you get better at sales. It's one of those very important aspects of anything that we have in that entrepreneurial world. And then he hit me with the second one of work harder on yourself. Well, he hit the whole audience, I just say me. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. And it was like, hang on. And then he added this third one that made sense because I ran down to him to get him to sign my notes. And I was lucky enough at 31 to share the stage with Mr. Rohn. I was his opening act. And it was in Sydney Convention Centre, about 5,000 people. And I showed him my notes from when I was 16. And I said, Mr. Rohn, these are my notes that you from when I was 16. And thank you so much for everything you contributed to me. And he says, please call me Jim. I said, yes, Mr. Rohn, because some people earn that right. You know, and he said it to me very clearly when I got him to sign my notes. I said, what's one thing I can do that'll guarantee my success? He says, son, just read a book a week for the rest of your life. 1 book per week for the rest of your life. And it wasn't complex at the time. It was very simple. So, you know, here I was 16. I thought, I can do that. I can read a book every week. And so I did. I started. I remember the first 2 books that he recommended, How to Win Friends and Influence People and The Richest Man in Babylon. They were the first 2 I started with. And from there, I just kept reading, and now I keep writing. And so that, to me, comes back to if you build you, then everything takes care of itself. The more you learn, the more you earn. It's pretty simple. Now, over the years, I've got to interview a bunch of people that are very, very successful because of the position I'm in. I get to interview a lot of people and put them out there on podcasts and things. 4 key things that every single one of them. So write these down before you start asking your questions, okay? 4 key areas that they all do. Number 1, they believe in themselves. They believe in their goals. They believe in their vision. They believe it can happen. Number 2, they learn. They're consistent, voracious learners. Number 3, they invest. They invest in more knowledge. They invest in businesses. They invest in themselves. They invest in their team. They're consistent investors. And number 4, they take action immediately. If they know they need to do it, they act immediately. There's no waiting around. There's no putting it off, thinking, oh, I'll think about that. No, take action, do it now, do it today. And that's the philosophy of that group of people. So are you ready for 90x? Well, if you're in that group of -1 through 2, then definitely 90x is the place for you to be. Change your thinking, change your life, not complex. Over the next 90 days, you and I'll spend 30 minutes a day together. Yeah, it's all online, so you do it at your own speed. Let's start getting to questions. And actually, before it, where's the questions that came in during the week, Gona, from people who were interested? There's one. Okay, found them. First question. So if you're buying into businesses, is there a particular type of business you should buy into? Okay, I'll answer that 3 different ways. Number 1, the businesses you buy, I have a certain set of rules that are these are the 8 rules of what must happen. On top of that, you'll develop your own rules based on your own goals. So you might have, you might pick a niche that is different to mine. You might pick an industry that's different to mine. And so you'll have rules based on that industry or based on that profession or the type of business that you're buying. Now, I use the word rules because 2 of the things that are very important as an investor is having rules and having a niche. If you have rules, then everything works, okay? Because you follow the rules. You get away from the emotion and you buy based on the rules. You can employ people who will buy based on the rules. It can become a business of investing, not just an actual investment, okay? So then the second one is the niche. If you know your niche, depending on where you're from in the world, how you pronounce it, then ultimately you will get that level of success. Okay, so those are 2 of the things. And there's a whole 30 minutes on rules and a whole 30 minutes on niche in 30x Wealth. So make sure when you get to that, you study that one well. You got 90 days of study coming up, gang. So it'll be very important. All right. What is responsible for your goal of retiring, accomplishing responsible? How did you fund it? Is there a type of business that will grow, sell faster than others? Let me deal with the second part, Dr. Sandy. The type of businesses that sell the fastest, it's crazy, but they are the food and beverage industry. They are the ones that sell the fastest. They're not the highest multiple, but they do sell the fastest. Now, whether they grow the fastest is a whole other question. There is definitely, they are the number 1 selling business. If you go to any business broker, they will tell you that that's the one that does the most. But that's what it is. Now, the business that I was in, I was actually in the photocopy shops. So, and that was the business that got me to that. When you sell a business, you don't have to sell the whole business. You can just sell it as a cash flow stream. You can sell it in one go. But yeah, there's multiple ways of doing that. Ultimately, it really comes down to following the rules, but also knowing your own self. Where are you great? See, when you go to fix a business, there's usually 1 of 3 main areas. There's either the sales and marketing needs fixing, or it's an operations need fixing, or it's the finance and admin that needs fixing. Finance and admin is very easy to fix in any business that you go into. If they're bad at finance and bad at administration, that's very easy to fix. You can just bring in professionals that'll handle that. The operations is generally a very clear, you've got to bring in people specific to the industry to fix the operations in any particular business you go into. And the sales and marketing, that's my personal favorite, if the sales and marketing needs fixing, because that's the thing I am personally best at. So there you go. Patrick, the long question. Pat, jump on that. When we do that private webinar, I'll answer the question on there. So if you've got the 30Xs or the 90Xs, then we'll do that. I'll go through that in detail because there's a lot of detail in your question. And I'm not sure I'd give it justice without asking you a few more questions to make sure that I actually have the right answer for you. So yeah, let's talk about it on that one, Pat. That'd be great. Next question. Okay, real estate. Oh, so basically, okay, when you're looking at purchasing in the real estate market, now, right now, obviously, real estate is running hot. It is the hottest it's been in a long time, starting to cool off the back end just a little, but only just a little. We're going to see interest rate rises probably second quarter, third or fourth quarter, depending upon the market that you're in. You'll see them go faster or slower. I imagine the US will probably go fairly slow with interest rate rises. But with inflation hitting the numbers it's hitting, we're going to have to see an interest rate rise at some point in the very near future. And that's just the way that's going to be. Now, if you're looking at real estate, the biggest thing I've always said is try and go for, in the beginning, what is the easiest thing to invest in. And that is something that will always have a tenant. So if you've got something in your area that will always have a tenant, now that's different in different marketplaces. If you're in a college town, you want a different piece of property than if you're in an industrial town, and different again if you're in a seaside town. But you want to always be looking at the thing that has that is rented the most often. And if that's 4-bedroom houses, great, go for a 4-bedroom house. If it's a 2-bedroom townhome, now I'm not a fan of townhomes because I like owning the land underneath the building more than just the building. So all of these things are a balancing act of it. All right, as we come to the end of time, there is the 30X one. I will be removing that. If you need that link, click it now so that you can have that link on your page. Dun-da-da. And we will put the university back. I see some of you asking for that. There is the university now. All right, let me check and see if there's any last questions on there. Patrick, I will get to yours when we meet that thing. Fraser asked, yes, the webinar is recorded. So that is easy for me to answer. All right, gang, listen, keep going with it. Keep learning, keep studying, keep coming back. If you enjoyed today's webinar, make sure you jump on social media and promote it for me and tell everyone about it. Look forward to meeting with you all again soon. Take care. Bye for now. Gona, back to you.